Hi parents, welcome to Back to School Night. I'm Mrs. Stroh Snyder, Mrs. Stroh, and I am your child's IBHL English teacher for year 1. So a little bit about me. I have my master's in English literature and it's my 9th year teaching. Previously, I worked in all IB school in Phoenix, and so I'm all about IB. That's how I was trained as a teacher. And the thing that you most need to know about me is why I love teaching, which is just building relationships with students. I love your kids so much, and I want to impart an excitement for learning to them, as well as watching them grow in their different skills. By the end of the year, students are going to know how to interpret different pieces of literature from different countries and cultures. They'll be able to analyze some of the author's techniques and how that impacts the meaning of the text as a whole, as well as looking at different texts and putting them in conversation with each other. And they'll be able to communicate in clear, logical, and persuasive ways, both in written form and also in an oral form. There's a lot of different methods that we use for teaching. One of the main ways is through Harkness discussions, which are kind of like Socratic seminars. These are from some Harkness discussions that we had last week. You might see some of your students on here. The little octopus pirate means that they did a fantastic job and they were nominated by their group. We also have writing conferences. We work on annotating the text. We do writing mini lessons. We do practice oral presentations, as well as some creative writing pastiches to help students understand authors' techniques. The final assessment for the year is an individual oral. It's where students get to choose 2 texts that they want to go more in depth about, and they are going to give an oral presentation on a topic that they're interested in for 10 minutes. Now, the discussion revolves around a global issue, an issue of transnational significance that they can look at through that lens on the text. In terms of how students are assessed, they will get 45% of their grade comes from knowledge, their literary analysis, and their responses. 40% of their grade comes from their writing and speaking, so some of that organizational skills. Their use of language is 10%, and then we have participation. You might see it named Approaches to Learning in Infinite Campus. This is to teach them some of those different skills that they need to have when they are approaching learning, like organization, turning things in on time, that kind of thing. We have a late work policy for the year. And let me go into this so it is clear. So students have 1 week to make up late assignments, and they get full credit for it during that whole week until they have submitted the assignment. And M is going to be put in the grade book to communicate to you, to me, and to the student that they still need to submit this assignment. This does function as a 0% when calculating as a grade, but it'll end up calculating at about 50 or 60% later on. After 1 week, they can extend that deadline so they can have another week to work on something by signing up with me for a voluntary intervention. If they have still not completed this assignment after a total of 2 weeks, they will earn a 0 on the assignment in the gradebook. Any missing assignment from the module needs to be submitted by the end of the module. The final assessment from each module is a cumulative learning task, so it's super important that students have all of the formative assessments turned in before they have the summative assessment. The whole purpose of this is to both give grace to students so that they can have some cushion and some wiggle room, as well as teaching them that accountability. We learn best when our learning happens within the meaning of the unit. So we want students to be able to submit their work when it's actually going to be meaningful and when they're actually going to be able to learn something, versus turning everything in at the end of the semester and it just feeling like busy work and not actually learning. Intervention is my favorite time because I stress to students that they can revise anything at any time. So if ever they score a grade on an assignment that they aren't proud of, that they're like, oh, I can do better, they can revise it. This is really important to my teaching philosophy because I believe that through revision, students know how to improve, they grow, and so kids are welcome to revise, revise, revise. And so I love to have writing conferences with students during intervention to help them think deeper, to point out where they might go with a text. And so they are always welcome to revise any work if they meet with me during intervention and they have a writing conference with me. The platform that we're using, we've started out the school year using Google Classroom. We're transitioning onto Canvas at the end of our first unit. So you'll see all of the work posted on Canvas in a couple weeks. You can also feel free to contact me at bstrosnyder@tvusd.us, and I'll typically respond between 24 and 48 hours, Monday through Friday, between 7:30 and 3 p.m. You can also call me. My extension is 307. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming to my back to school night presentation. I'm so excited to get to know all of you and to get to know your students. They are such a great bunch of kiddos, and I hope you have a really wonderful night. We're going to have a great year together.